This is unfair. This is not equal.
Concerned citizens in West Haven calling for action. The small group gathered to have their voices heard and say enough is enough after they say West Haven police are showing favoritism by arresting 23-year-old Kristen Vega for a threatening social media post against officers, but not arresting any person making threats against protesters.
And they've told me personally that there's nothing they can do about keyboard warriors. And we're trying to say if that's not equal justice.
Demonstrators gathered at West Haven just want that, equal justice. Officials have yet to make any additional statements, which activists say are starting to have real consequences.
And in that silence, all of these threats started showing up on Facebook and on a place where they claimed to not see it. And then a week later, that's where they posted meeting agendas.
What the are you doing?
Protesters say another incident happening earlier this summer where a woman drove through a crowd of protesters. The woman not arrested, but protesters were, some even injured. People here say the explanation is still hazy, saying police only had a few closed-door meetings with people about the incident. But according to state officials, the problem between West Haven police and some concerned citizens is just communication.
The problem here is that, at least as represented here, people are asking questions and not getting answers.
State Senator Gary Winfield was the only official amongst the people and say while he understands the frustrations of area residents, it's best to look at both sides.
I think the perception of being out here is that you're against police, right? But I would flip that around and say being out here is pro-community, and pro-community is pro-police, right? What the police want us to be doing is facilitating conversations so that the community doesn't have the perception that the police are acting against their interests.
Still, people say that's not enough when people are still making threats against protesters, having already shown to come to life. Yet even so, activists say they will continue to fight for what they believe in.
We think our First Amendment is more important than people's inconvenience. And that's just that because because of what we're fighting for. We're fighting to make sure all of our lives matter.
And we did reach out to the West Haven Police Department on numerous occasions about all the incidents mentioned in this report, but have not heard back at this time. But when we hear something, we'll get back to you. We're in West Haven. Brian Ditlake, Fox 61 News.